So I want you to put yourself 5 years after revelation in Mecca. No one prays in public. No one prays in public. People have to hide their Islam. You become Muslim. Someone in your family hates Islam. There wasn't a single person that made hijrah to Medina other than Ammar ibn Yasir, whose parents were both Muslim. May Allah be pleased with them all. Not a single other person whose parents were both Muslim. So someone hates Islam in your family. So you have to hide Islam even from someone in your family. And you're being abused. And the Prophet ﷺ is being spoken about ill in your presence. You might be spit at and kicked. You might be tied up in private, beaten a bit so that you can, hopefully have Islam beaten out of you. This is the context. And I want to give you like a very real life manifestation of this, okay? They have a civil rights museum in Atlanta, Georgia, the United States. I want to give you a little bit of a U.S. context. And there's something that's so powerful. There is an exhibit where you sit in what's a diner, like a little restaurant, and they play a tape where you hear the taunts that African Americans used to hear when they tried to sit in a diner in the 1960s, right, in the 50s and 60s. So you just sit there, and it's almost like they'll even simulate the table shaking. You just imagine like going to a restaurant and someone coming and calling you a name, or dumping your head into a plate, right, pushing your face into a plate, cursing you, calling you the N-word, spitting at you, maybe physically getting rough with you, picking you up, throwing you out, doing that in front of your family. All the compounded humiliation. The key word here is humiliation. And it enrages you. Kind of sit there and like, can't imagine trying to eat my food and deal with this. Because there's something powerful about simulation, right? And immersion. And so I want you to immerse yourself in a very aggressive context towards Islam, right? And that's where these qualities are truly proven. Why? الذي يخالط الناس ويصبر على أذاهم خير من الذي لا يخالط الناس ولا يصبر على أذاهم. The Prophet ﷺ said, the one who mixes with the people and tolerates the abuse is better than the one who does not mix with the people and does not tolerate their abuse. It's like when Allah says, أولئك الذين امتحن الله قلوبهم للتقوى. They are the people who Allah tested their hearts for taqwa. And Sayyidina Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu mentions that the people that are exposed to hardship are not like the ones that are not exposed. Think of like a zoo animal, right? Like the lion that roars in the zoo versus the lion that lives in the wild. Like if that lion's lived there for 20 years, he's just a little different. Throw him into the wild, and it's not going to be the same. Hey, mashallah, you're living here, like, I don't have to deal with that. There's a musalla here. I don't have to worry about being a Muslim in public, right? I am in a safe country, walhamdulillah, and everyone treats me so well. Put yourself in a situation where you are in one of the most hostile countries towards Islam in the world, where praying in public is hard, where wearing hijab means, policies being legislated against you, where you can't visibly demonstrate your Islam without harassment. Put yourself there and then realize that Mecca, at the time of the Prophet ﷺ, was 10 times or 100 times or 1,000 times more than that. Right? Because institutionally, you didn't even have a Jum'ah prayer. You didn't have anywhere to refuel yourself in order to go out there and deal with the world. Which is another part of this context that the Sahaba had to do tadabbur on the Quran in a very different way. One of the problems is that you wait for someone else to elaborate on the Quran and reflect on the Quran for you. Tafsir is for the specialists. Reflection is for every Muslim. The Sahaba had to take the Quran, memorize it, pass it amongst themselves, and then while they would go out there and deal with the abuse, it's not like they then go to a Jum'ah khutbah. Maybe they got into Dar al-Arqam, right? A small gathering. But they had to all go home and reflect on what the verses were telling them in order to garner the strength to deal with this reality that was around them. You understand how different that is? They didn't wait for a great khutbah or a great lecture or go find, no. There was no community to really be able to deal with this. I got to take these verses and develop the strength to deal with the enemies of Islam wherever they are and however they are dealing with me. So one of the ways that a concept is proved, a quality is proved, is when Allah puts it to test. Right? أَحَسِبَ النَّاسُ أَن يُتْرَكُوا أَن يَقُولُوا آمَنَّا وَهُمْ لَا يُفْتَنُونَ. Right? Do people think they just say, we believe, we have iman, and then they're not going to be tested? Everything that's a subcategory of iman is included. Do people just say that we have sabr and you're not going to be tested? Do people just say we have hilm, forbearance, and they're not going to be tested? Do people just say we're people of karam, we're generous people, and they're not going to be tested? Do people just, you don't make claims with Allah and then don't get tested with those claims. Allah will put you to the test with your claims. And so all of the qualities of Ibad al-Rahman, they're in training camp. They have to shine the most beautiful and best of qualities in the ugliest of contexts, which makes them that much more sincere.